Narcissists are predators. They have to stalk their prey. They want to know everything that you are doing or thinking. They want to identify your patterns. They want to learn as much about you as they possibly can. Narcissists are voyeuristic. They love to watch and observe everything you are doing. There is even a disorder known as voyeuristic disorder, and I wouldn't be surprised if many of these narcissists have this disorder. Narcissists may stalk you as you enter or leave your home. They will identify your patterns. They will identify what times you go to certain places. They will know when you are alone. Narcissists will stalk you in the same way that a rapist, murderer or child molester will stalk their target. Rapists, murderers and child molesters are all narcissists. From my personal experience, I have noticed that narcissists will peep on you getting dressed or having sex. They also like to observe you during vulnerable moments, such as using the toilet or having a shower. I believe that this gives them the narcissistic supply and makes them feel powerful and in control of you. Narcissists do not like their targets having their own personal space or privacy. It makes them feel as though they are not in control. It reminds them that the target is a separate human being with their own rights. Narcissists want to believe that you are an extension of them or an object. In their minds, you exist to serve them. You do not need your own space. You do not need privacy. That's how they think. They enjoy observing people during vulnerable moments or during sexual activities. It gives them a kick, as though they are doing something they know they shouldn't be doing. They are emotionally immature like children. It's creepy, but this is what they like to do. They like being behind the scenes and watching what you are doing. There's just something about it which provides them with a rush of excitement. It's like a hunt, a chase. Very predatory, like a fox chasing after a rabbit. Narcissists operate mainly from the reptilian parts of their brains, so this animal-like behaviour comes natural to them. Narcissists also understand that they are dependent on the target. Without the target, the narcissist cannot feel powerful or in control of them. They need to have a target to be in control of. It's like they are slaves to their narcissistic supply. So there will be a lot of frustration and resentment towards the target. Just like a teenager might resent their parents while also being dependent on them. Narcissists like the narcissistic supply. It gives them a short burst of excitement, but it never sustains them. It doesn't last long. So it becomes an endless pursuit day after day, where they become slaves to their targets, relying on them, depending on them, unable to live without them. And this isn't something they just do occasionally. It is an obsession, an addiction. So they will often have targets where they are watching 24 hours a day. The target's life is their life. The target's eyes are their eyes. The target's years are their years. The target's nose is their nose. This is where we get into what I like to call the observer mode. The observer mode is where the narcissist will mentally put themselves in your body and imagine what you are seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling or feeling in that moment. They imagine what sensations you are currently experiencing. They will then refer to what you are seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling or feeling in a subtle, covert way. This causes you to reflect on that sensation, and it creates an involuntary connection between you and them. This is done without your will or conscious control. The narcissist will follow your eyes and watch exactly what you are seeing through your eyes. Whether it's a person or object, whatever is in front of you that you are looking at with your eyes, they will be observing you watching this. And they will continue observing your eyes as you look around at other people or objects. They will then make references to this person or object, something that will make you instantly identify them by what the narcissist is saying to you. This is covert behaviour, so the narcissist will not overtly say that you are looking at a person or a chair. They might refer to the colour of the chair, a characteristic of the person or anything else. There really is no limit to the references they could make. And this isn't limited to people or objects. It could be anything. The narcissist can also adapt this observer mode to any sounds you hear, anything you smell, any foods or drinks you taste, and anything you feel with your hands or bodies. The narcissist mind reading mode. Mind reading is not possible. Knowing our own minds can be challenging enough. For us to know the mind of someone else would be impossible. And it's the same for narcissists. They cannot read your mind. But they do have a mode of behaviour where they believe that they can read your mind. It may even feel as though they are successfully reading your mind, but they're not. And I am going to explain how they do it and why they do it in this video. Mind reading is not possible. It is not real. What is real is the psychological concept of empathic accuracy. This is the ability to accurately identify how someone is thinking or feeling by reading cues such as their words, emotions, and body language. Most people have this ability, but narcissists often struggle to read other people's emotions. They have a lack of empathy. This makes it very difficult for them to experience any empathic accuracy. Having a sense of what a person is thinking or feeling can help to avoid common miscommunications. It can help to strengthen your relationships with other people. Narcissists don't have this ability, and this is why we may often experience miscommunications with them. They have limited or no effective empathy. They are unable to share an emotional reaction in response to another person's emotions. This gives them a lower possibility of experiencing guilt or shame. But they do have the ability to figure out the emotional states of other people without feeling what they are feeling. This is known as cognitive empathy. Narcissists often have high levels of cognitive empathy and limited or no affective empathy. They have difficulty feeling what the other person is feeling, but they can figure out your emotional state. Your emotional state can often give clues about what you are thinking in that moment. They can also read facial expressions and body language, just as anyone else can. But narcissists are very predatory. They are determined to figure out what their prey is thinking or feeling. They are determined to find a vulnerability or weakness within their prey, which they can then use to extract fuel or narcissistic supply. This is something they have practiced their entire lives. Reading their target's mind, identifying their thoughts and feelings, strategizing how they are going to break them down and use them to regulate their emotional state or extract resources from them. They had to perfect their craft of manipulation to survive amongst those who have perfected their qualities and abilities. The narcissist never took the time to work on their qualities or abilities, so they know that they are not going to be able to compete if they play fair. That's why they cheat, lie and steal. They already expect to lose, so they focus more on their craft of manipulation. Identifying where people are in the mind, identifying their deficiencies or vulnerabilities, and then using them to their advantage. Using them to exploit the target. The narcissist does this for their own emotional survival. They use other people to regulate their emotions or boost their self-esteem. Extract resources. This is why they have high levels of cognitive empathy. It is a survival mechanism, a way of protecting themselves from being hurt by other people. This is why they do everything that they do. It is all about emotional survival. They cannot read your mind, but they believe that they can. They read your facial expressions and body language, listen to the tone of your voice. This is all a part of their survival mechanism. It's all about emotional survival. If they can identify where you are in the mind or how you are feeling, it can help them to regulate their emotions or boost their self-esteem. Indirect communication is the opposite of direct communication. Indirect communication gathers information from in between the lines. Instead of asking a question or commenting on a situation, the narcissist who uses indirect communication will go about in a roundabout way. The narcissist makes hints or acts out, rather than directly saying what they are thinking or feeling. When they are not being catered to, they might try to make everything difficult while saying or acting as though nothing is wrong. When they don't get their way, they might take twice as long to get anything done. They might use passive aggression, which involves expressing their anger or hostility in covert ways to even the score or gain an advantage over you. It can be very covert, where they will often target your individual senses. They might communicate with you through your vision by using facial expressions, gestures, or placing objects in certain places, doing certain tasks in front of you. They might communicate with you through your hearing by changing their tone of voice, making noises, or using music to emotionally manipulate you, whether in a positive or negative way. They might communicate with you through your sense of smell by spraying perfume or cooking certain food, maybe something that might remind you of an event in the past. They might communicate with you through touch, by touching you in a certain way, maybe in a way that someone else once touched you. Or they might intentionally touch you in a different way to make you think that they have been intimate with someone else. When they are doing this, there is a message that they are trying to communicate to you. In their minds, it makes perfect sense, but then their minds are based on emotions rather than any form of logic or reasoning. The narcissist uses indirect communication because they want your attention, but they are very cowardly and lack courage. They lack the strength that is required in the face of pain or grief. The goal of their indirect communication is to get your attention and then provoke an intense emotional reaction from you. They hint or act out their feelings rather than saying them directly to avoid consequence or humiliation. They may also want to avoid conflict, where they may not have a valid argument or anything logical or reasonable to say. When the narcissist is using indirect communication, they are in their feelings. They are trying to project their emotions onto you and get you to express them so that they can regulate their own emotions. They also want to see how you are going to react to whatever they are indirectly communicating to you. They will then use this to analyze you even further, construct their own language, and then feed this back to you through more indirect communication. They use this manipulative code that is indirect, well crafted, but makes no logical sense. It can also be very confusing. Both the narcissist and yourself may feel uncertain or confused about what is actually being communicated. Because the communication is delivered in such a unfocused or imprecise way, you both have only ideas or possibilities about what the other person is trying to communicate. Both the narcissist and you may often find forks in the road where you have multiple ideas or possibilities. The odds are that more often than not, you will discover ideas or possibilities that are different than what the other person was trying to communicate. When the narcissist uses indirect communication, it can feel like a puzzle that you can never solve. The narcissist sensitization mode. Sensitization is the quality or condition of responding to certain stimuli in a sensitive manner. The stimuli arouses activity or energy within the target. The narcissist repeats certain actions or behaviours to evoke the progressive amplification of a response from their target. It is the process of making someone react to something that previously had limited or no effect. Sensitization can be characterized by an enhancement of response to a whole class of stimuli in addition to the one that is repeated. Sensitization occurs when a reaction to a stimulus causes an increased reaction to a second stimulus. It is an exaggerated startle response and is often seen in trauma survivors. You may have developed sensitization while with a narcissist or from a previous encounter. Narcissists often scan their targets for any vulnerabilities, weaknesses, or insecurities for them to exploit or take advantage of. You might be sensitive to certain visual stimulation, sounds, taste, touch, or smells, or certain words, colours, or scenarios. The sensitivity to certain stimuli usually develops from your past experiences. This may have been something you experienced with a narcissist or from a previous encounter. I am going to talk about my personal experience. It may not be the same as what you have experienced, but it should still be relevant. I was always very sensitive as a child. I hated having my hair cut or wearing anything made from wool. I was sensitive to touch. I experienced a lot of physical abuse, and this then caused me to flinch if someone made a rapid movement or waved their arms around. It caused me to make a quick, nervous movement as an instinctive reaction to fear or pain. Following the rapid movement, I would then withdraw or shy away. As I grew older, I noticed that some narcissists around me began to pick up on this hypersensitivity that I had developed to rapid movement. They would then intentionally make rapid movements or wave their arms around to provoke fear within me or to force me to submit to them. I'm sure they were fully aware that my reactions were the effects of severe physical abuse. But of course, narcissists do not care. They are self-absorbed and lack empathy. They specifically target people who have been abused, as they are more susceptible to their abuse. The narcissists around me would intentionally make rapid movements and wave their arms around while having a conversation with me or while having a conversation with someone else, and then directing their movements towards me. They intended to use these actions and behaviours as a way of controlling me and forcing me to submit to them, to make them feel powerful and in control. I'm sure they were fully aware of the potentially harmful effects that this may produce for me. But of course, narcissists do not care about the consequences of their actions. They just care about what they want in that moment, and if they find a vulnerable target who is susceptible to their abuse, they are going to take full advantage of it, without any care or remorse for how it may affect them. They never acknowledged my response to their actions because they wanted to continue to exploit me and use me for their own benefit or gain. As time moved on, I began to notice that wherever I would go, people would follow me around and start doing these rapid movements around me. Wherever I would go, they would stand in front of me or sit next to me and start waving their arms around. They would then start kicking their legs and moving their feet to expand the sensitization. I then began to realize that I was the target of a network of abusers who were all following me around to exploit or take advantage of my hypersensitivity. Although I had this vulnerability, I still tried my best to be confident and hold my head high. I later realized that this made them feel inferior. It made them feel as though I am better than them, which then made them want to tear me down even more. It became a constant fight where I was trying to maintain my confidence and my happiness and contentment, while they were constantly trying to take it away to make themselves feel better. As well as the rapid movements, they also began to touch me and rub their bodies against me. They would make loud noises and produce strong smells. This was all intentional to exploit and expand my hypersensitivity to movement. As I said at the beginning of the video, sensitization can be characterized by an enhancement of response to a whole class of stimuli in addition to the one that is repeated. I was not sensitive to any other senses before being targeted by this network of abusers. But after many years of abuse, I am now sensitive to loud noises. I have been the target of a noise campaign which has continued for many years. The abusers often slam their car doors or their apartment doors outside where I live. There is an abuser who lives above me who has been banging the floor for over a year. And there were even people living there 2 years before who also did the same thing. All of this behaviour is intentional, and they take full advantage of it and use it to further abuse me and sensitize me to the stimuli. I confronted them, and of course they denied it and used gaslighting. I even contacted the police, and they acted as though they weren't doing anything wrong. This is what narcissists do. They exploit your vulnerabilities, weaknesses, or insecurities, and then use them to further abuse you. Following many years of this abusive treatment, I now experience sensory overload. This occurs when one or more of the body's senses experiences overstimulation from the environment. I may even have developed sensory processing disorder, which is a condition in which the brain has trouble receiving and responding to information that comes in through the senses. This is another one of the narcissist's modes of behaviour. I have done a video on the narcissist observer mode. This is where they will watch and observe whatever you are doing. For more information, please check out the video, The Narcissist Observer Mode. The difference between these two modes is that in the observer mode, they are trying to figure out what you are thinking or feeling in the present moment. The narcissist anticipation mode is when they are expecting or predicting something. It is the narcissist recognizing the possibility or the probability of you saying or doing something, or someone doing or saying something that could be beneficial or favourable for you. This is what the narcissist will be expecting or predicting. They might be calculating whether or not you or someone else is likely to say, do, or be something. They might believe that someone or something is going to arrive soon. They are estimating what will happen in the future, or what will be the consequence of something they've done, something you've done, or something someone else has done. This is about control. The narcissist is trying to control the situation or the environment. They are trying to control any potential human interaction or stimulation you might receive. They are trying to limit or restrict anything that might be beneficial or favourable for you. Narcissists are very envious people. They want to destroy everything that is good, or treat it as though it is worthless or beneath their consideration. But just because they cannot get the same fulfillment from you or the things that you enjoy, it doesn't mean that they are going to let someone else partake or let you consume the things that you enjoy. You have to remember that as an extension of a narcissist, anything that you engage in will affect them. And because they are opposed to anything good or anything that is beneficial or favourable for you, it will affect them in a negative way. It will cause them to feel enraged, and then they will take that out on you. This is why the narcissist has developed the anticipation mode. It's about knowing where you are going to be, what you are going to be doing, and who you are going to be with at all times. They don't always get it right, but they have to make a prediction or have an expectation. They feel great discomfort from not knowing what could potentially happen in the near future. It's risk management. They are predicting or estimating the risks of anything good or anything that could be beneficial or favourable for you, with the identification of procedures to avoid or minimise their impact. You have to remember that anything that is good for you will hurt them. Anything that satisfies or fulfills you in any way, anything that makes you feel a positive emotion, is a threat to the narcissist's false self and could cause them to experience pain or discomfort. The narcissist will watch and observe you in the present moment. They will look for clues, a piece of evidence or information to discover or identify what could potentially happen in the near future. Where you are going to go, what you are going to do, who you are going to see. Some narcissists will hide this evidence or information to avoid a potentially hysterical response from you. They understand that their behaviour is not normal, so most often they will hide this evidence or information from you. But some narcissists will even give you hints that they already know what you are going to be doing. They will give you a slight or indirect indication or suggestion of what you might be doing in the near future. This could be something you are going to be doing later that day or later that week. Some narcissists may even plan this out months or even years in advance. You may not realise that they made the indication or suggestion until you carry out the specified action or behaviour. And only upon the completion or the execution of the specified course of action will you then realise that they had made an indication or suggestion of this before you even did it. Victims of narcissistic abuse who have experienced the effects of the narcissist anticipation mode may be fooled into believing that the narcissist may have some supernatural ability to perceive events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. But what they are actually doing is they are examining you or your current situation methodically and in great detail in order to explain and interpret it. From their interpretation of your current situation, they then create these expectations or predictions based on probability or from when they have studied or observed you in the past. They pick up on patterns or routines. They identify problems or things that need to be dealt with in your current situation and then assume the probability of when and how you are going to resolve the issue or deal with whatever requires your attention. There is also the possibility that they are guiding and controlling your actions and behaviours by use of suggestion. They have likely isolated you and taught you to neglect your own intuition, your own ideas of what you think is right, how you believe something should be done. And they have taught you that everything they do is indisputably correct. Over time, this becomes a belief where you really believe that everything they are doing is right and everything you are doing is wrong. They might begin by giving you direct verbal suggestions of what you should be doing, but later, these direct verbal suggestions can be reduced to something more subtle or covert. These covert suggestions are a form of hypnosis. The aim of this is to influence the victim, the victim's unconscious, without them knowing. From my experience, it does work, and it can cause you to act in a way that you wouldn't normally act. And it can cause you to even feel a certain feeling or do a specific behaviour. The narcissist might use this tactic to get you to do something that benefits them. Or they might get you to do something that you wouldn't normally do, so that they can later blame you for it or get you into trouble. Be cautious that this could be something the narcissist is doing. It does work. Suggestion is very powerful, and repetition fuels belief. McDonald's doesn't spend billions of dollars on advertising for nothing. Suggestion and repetition are even more powerful when you are isolated or have no other influences. Be cautious and be aware that this is something the narcissist could be doing to you. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope this video resonated with you. Please like, comment, share and subscribe. Click the bell icon to receive notifications for my future videos. If you would like to donate, my PayPal link is in the video description. Coaching inquiries, you can email me at narcsurvivorcoaching@gmail.com.